I'm going to be showing you some of the paintings that I did in Atlantis last year, and then the year after she died, and a couple paintings that I did after the first year anniversary and when I scattered the ashes. So here are the ones that were done before she died, when she was so sick. When I see this one now, after all this time, I feel like the iris is me and my feeling, or Atlantis and what she was going through, and the two sidebars of the scattered color is what's happening to her and to me and to us. And this is the final painting I did before she died, and it was called For Atlantis. And at that point it was very clear that she was leaving this world, and I wanted to do a painting for her. And in fact I showed it to her the day before she left this world. It's called For Atlantis, 1944 to 2019. Then after that, I spent, it's not that I spent, but the way the paintings were happening was that I was isolating a flower head for the most part in a color, and I believe what was happening was I was centering myself, getting to the essential, and zooming in on something solid, and at the same time ephemeral. This painting is called Beacon, and that somehow represented to me Atlantis' energy and light moving into another galaxy. And then there was a kind of a culmination of that period of these scented pieces of a zinnia with this incredible center. And then what happened was that I received a photograph. A friend of Lance's and mine called Mark Ankner, and here's the photograph of this bee and blue flower. The story behind the photograph, this painting, this change in my life as a painter, is that a few years ago when Lannis was already ill, and in her hospital bed in our living room, an LA friend of David Pagel's, Mark Ankner, asked if he could stop by when he was going to be at the Cannes Film Festival that May. We invited him to lunch, and when he arrived, we all loved each other and made an instant connection. During lunch, a giant bee decided to buzz around us, and with a super zen-like aplomb, we guided it back out into the air where it would be free. Then, 3 years later, after Lannis had died, I began to sense her presence here with me in the apparition, first of a blue dragonfly, then of a solitary bird on the balcony outside the studio, or a bee or a butterfly. And just before the pandemic, Mark sent me a photo from his garden, bee with flower, with blue flower. I immediately wrote back to him and asked him if I could paint it, and he answered, yes, of course. He added that he had had a sense that Lannis was with him when he spotted the bee, and helped him take the picture. It's amazing and quite rare, I think, to see a bee photographed like that, caught in midair. Then, not 10 minutes later, Nancy Hoffman wrote me and told me that she had a bee in her bonnet and wanted to tell me she was planning a blue Chicago Art Fair installation. So that's what happened with the arrival in my life of these new images. Thanks to Mark and Lannis and who knows what else. Oh, and another thing, see what Nancy did also when she started seeing the new images that I was painting, the bee, and then a butterfly, and other images that I'm about to do, she said that for her they were spirit beings. And then the other day I came upon this by Dogen Zenji. To study the way of enlightenment is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self, and to forget the self is to be actualized by myriad things. So I think that's what's happening.